It's an all Star Wars episode this week.
I guess we're going retro on this. I just did air quotes.
You did. I prefer to call it classic. All right.
Whatever you want to call it, though. There's a lot of Star Wars to talk about this week for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to be getting ready for the premiere of Obi Wan Kenobi, dissecting all of the interesting things that Kathleen Kennedy told the Brez.
The Brez?
Yeah, we can say that because we've had him on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And revealing all our plans for Star Wars Celebration. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the Porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that Porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to that.
It's like a long, drawn-out process because of traveling to Celebration and everything else.
It's kind of like a week-long birthday.
So today is actually your birthday.
Yes, as you're listening to
As
this.
you are. Yes. And last night, we're going to predict into the future that at midnight, we were at the Floribama.
Yep.
You were getting a bushwhacker. Is that what we're going to start with?
I don't know what we're starting with.
You're going to get your first official alcoholic drink.
Yes.
With that, won't talk about whether or not there's been any sips of anything before that. Anyway, welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast, the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature, and to be endorsed by the writer and the director of The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson, in the future of Star Wars. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation, that there is a story. It is written on our souls, and that these myths speak to that story. And that's why we're covering everything you need to know about or at least getting ready for the Obi Wan Kenobi release this Friday. First two episodes are coming. We're discussing the interesting revelations from a recent interview with Kathleen Kennedy. BB is very excited about part of this. We've already kind of talked about it. And getting you ready for the madness coming this week at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. I am David. I am the dad.
Hi, Dad.
I'm honored to be joined every week by my two amazing professional podcasting sons. Professional podcasting sons.
Since when were we professional?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, since we got media badges. All right, BB Nate.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm pretty sure that Kathleen Kennedy couldn't have been more vague with the Vanity Fair article this week.
Yeah.
She was just dodging every question like a pro. It was crazy.
Yeah, she's been taking
classes from Andrew Garfield. Yeah.
Andrew. No, I was thinking Dave Filoni.
Yeah, Dave, right.
With that, Sam, what do you got going?
Yeah, well, we're going to be talking about all the panels, the big ones coming up for Celebration, but we're still not sure we're going to even get a shot at any of them at the moment.
It's the strangest thing in the world. We'll
really
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
But
Dad?
There are so many amazing little treats coming out that are getting us ready for Obi Wan Kenobi. Let's just say there's a lot to talk about there. And we want to thank you guys for listening to the show. Please follow the show on whatever podcast listening app you're listening to us on right now, or if you're on, I don't know, if you're listening to it
Ham radio?
on a ham radio, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool.
That would be. We're not on the radio.
We should get on the
We
radio.
should be on the radio or internet radio. We can do that. Anyway, we want to talk about, thank you to Newsly. Give you guys a shout out. Newsly is an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. It actually picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice, which wasn't like that voice. Anyway, we'll be
talking all.
We'll be talking a little bit more about them later on in the show. Tomorrow night, May 25th, on the 45th anniversary.
I've never heard anybody outside of closed captioning say woot.
Woot. Woot. Yeah. We're going to be at the virtual cantina, the massive Bunta Eve party at Biggs Fullerton. And we want you guys, if you're at Celebration, to join us there. We'll be officially doing the Star Wars celebration of Samuel the Hutt's 21st birthday. So come on and by. and see him with that and join in. Just there's going to be so much fun going on there. Misty Rosas, who was the performance artist for Queel in The Mandalorian season 1 and the Frog Lady in season 2.
Yeah.
Plus Dominic Pace from Gecko. We've had him on the show a couple of times. He's Gecko from The Mandalorian. That's it. Leilani and Ariel Shui from they were Jawas from The Mandalorian. Kevin Thompson, Chubway from Return of the Jedi. Tim Donaldson is a Jawa from A New Hope. Eric Walker, who played Mace Tawani in A Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure. That's it. And a bunch of other podcasts and Star Wars people, and just you should be there.
Yeah,
so
yes, please.
We are looking forward to you joining us there. But enough talking about what we're going to talk about. Let's talk about what we are talking about.
That was good.
I did it. All right. Even with a week off.
Yeah.
All right. Can you believe it's finally time for the Kenobi series to start after all of this? Let's talk about it and, of course, speculate very irresponsibly.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
Official Twitter account tweeted out a photo today of Obi Wan Kenobi, which said something to the extent, I can't remember exactly the wording, but it was a quote on it was like, "It's time for the Jedi to end," or "The time for the Jedi is over," or something like that.
I think I saw that.
And I'm sitting there thinking, man, that sounds familiar. It sounds a lot like Luke Skywalker when he went into exile on Ahch-To after his failure with his apprentice, and how he sort of thought that the Jedi Order should end.
Nah, totally new.
Yeah.
Never heard this before.
Ryan Johnson's writing this show. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that would be fun. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the story. There was an interesting quote. Director Deborah Chow, who hit the Star Wars consciousness when she directed Chapter 3 of The Mandalorian, called The Sin. That was when he big boy. That was when he
gets Baby Yoda, right?
Yeah, like he captures him back. And then Chapter 7, The Reckoning, which is another
first episode of season.
No. There was eight chapters in the first season with it. She gave an interesting insight about the series last week in an interview with Total Film. She said, "I think I was the most excited about getting the opportunity to do a character-driven story in a similar way. It's a different tone, but something like Joker or Logan, where you take one character out of a big franchise and then you really have the time and you get a lot deeper with that character." And that seemed to me to be really exciting to get to do in Star Wars. What do you think about Deborah Chow talking about this, kind of comparing it to Joker and Logan? We had kind of very different reactions to those two movies. We thought Joker was fantastic, even though I could only watch it one time because it was really disturbing. While we really didn't even care for Logan. I know we're in the minority on that, so don't tweet us.
Don't at me.
Don't at me. What did you guys think about Chow's comment? I'll start with you, BB Nate.
I am a sucker for character development. I always have been. I love character development, and a whole show centered around Obi-Wan Kenobi, who I've always loved to learn more about, sounds amazing. With the diving into the psychology and the thoughts of Obi-Wan in this time where he is at his lowest point, just sounds really great to me, and I'm super excited to see what Deborah Chow is going to do for it. And she is the perfect person to do this. I think she'll knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, while we didn't like some of the choices that were made in Logan, like story-wise,
primarily related to Professor X.
Yes.
Yeah,
very much.
The concept behind it and what they did with Logan himself as a character was not bad by any means. And the same with Joker. You got to see a very different side of the character and a very different take, and it was great. We loved that movie. While yes, it was disturbing.
It was twisted,
and you did not walk out of the theater feeling good. It accomplished what it was going for. So that's actually very encouraging to me that they're going to give this treatment to such a beloved character as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, it's interesting because she does mention that it's a different tone than those two movies, which were extremely dark and really, violent and all of that. You're not going to get that in a Star Wars property
No,
on
I do think
Disney
this is going
Plus.
to have a darker tone.
I do think the story is darker.
Yes.
It's very much like The Last Jedi in tone when it comes to the relationship with Kenobi with that. So I think that's going to be really important. So let's talk about when the show takes place, because if you're just getting ready for this and maybe you're tuning into some Star Wars podcasts because you're excited about Celebration and you don't normally listen to these and you're kind of that average fan, not the geeks that talk about Star Wars all the time like us, you may not even realize when this show takes place, because I've had conversations with some people that were like, oh yeah, Kenobi's coming out. How is that going to work? So the show is actually set around 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith, and that makes it 9 years before.
So kind of halfway.
A New Hope. So right kind of in between. Now, we assume that Kenobi's story begins on Tatooine, which is interesting because that puts it right after the events of Solo, a Star Wars story, and that movie ends with Han and Chewie heading to Tatooine for a big job, working for Jabba the Hutt. So as the resident Solo fan in the show, Samuel the Hutt, I'll go with you, you're a Hutt.
Yeah,
it makes sense, right?
It fits.
Any chance at all that we see connections to that story?
My initial reaction to that would be yes, but I thought I remembered hearing some comments from someone recently in an interview. I think it was maybe even Kathleen, saying that they wouldn't recast a popular character like that again, a classic character again, like Solo.
Stealing my topic.
Is that what you were going to refer to? Okay.
Well, we'll talk about that more detail on that.
I think that comment alone kind of shoots down any chance of getting something like that in the series.
I hope we do see it, and it honestly could happen, because once you make the mistake, it's not like you can go back on it.
That's true.
And it was received pretty well.
People who watched it.
Commercially, it wasn't a huge success. It didn't make as much money as
they marketed
as a big.
Well, we don't need to get into all the reasons that Solo story underperformed.
A lot of people really loved the movie and loved the character of Alden Ehrenreich Solo. A bunch of people say he did an amazing job. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw him in this series, and I think it would really work with and honestly, it could help lighten the mood a little bit, I think, with him.
I think that what you're saying, BB Nate, is actually a pretty reasoned response. The likelihood of them connecting this to Solo is probably pretty slim. I wonder if originally the plans were, when this was going to be a Kenobi movie that was supposed to be part of that same series, Rogue One, the Boba Fett movie, all this. I think that they were going to connect it with Darth Maul. I think they were going to connect it with Crimson Dawn and connect the stories together. I think that they could still do that. I don't think it's likely, but I do think that they could still do it. And I think that the reality is they've already done this with Alden. So to bring in de-aged Harrison Ford in this case would probably make the problem worse with Solo, a Star Wars story, not solve the problem with it. Let's talk about some of the main characters in this, because everybody's tuning into the show to see the Kenobi versus Vader battle that will inevitably happen. They've already teased it a bunch of times, but there are other characters that we need to know a little bit about. And if you're not familiar with the animation in Star Wars, what's wrong with you? I mean, you're a bit at a disadvantage on this. So, and by the way, shout out to tomsguide.com for their help on these character descriptions, because they were fantastic and I didn't want to have to write out my own. I just stole yours. But I credited you.
Podcasting.
So I'm gonna, you did show prep for me. All right. So the first character is played by Rupert Friend, and it is the Grand Inquisitor, one of the lesser known characters for those who primarily watch Star Wars movies and not Rebels or the Clone Wars, primarily Rebels. The Grand Inquisitor has a very complicated past. He was born on the planet of Utapau, which is also in Revenge of the Sith, more than 15 years before the invasion of Naboo. This baddie. That's very different. Baddie. This baddie was first a rising star of the Jedi Order, becoming a Jedi Knight and serving in the Jedi Temple Guard. Over time, anger and hatred festered within the man who would become the Grand Inquisitor, as his curiosity about the Jedi archives was rebuked and dismissed. He even played a minor role in the trial of Ahsoka Tano. But it was the trial itself that would push him to betray the Jedi Order, as his anger left him vulnerable to join the dark side. So just like their fifth brother, who we're going to talk about in a minute, he managed to survive Order 66, which put Jedi on the run. Darth Sidious would then recruit the fallen Jedi to lead the Inquisitorius, or the Order of Inquisitors. And safe to say, the Grand Inquisitor is a huge threat to our heroes in this. Rupert Friend is best known, the actor playing him, is best known for his roles as like Vasily in The Death of Stalin, or Mr. Wickham in 2005's Pride and Prejudice, as opposed to 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. I think that they make a new Pride and Prejudice reboot every year.
Seriously?
Not really, but seems like it. Anyway. All right, BB Nate, you're the Rebels guy. I mean, we're all the Rebels guys, but Rebels is like your super jam. But how excited are you to see a live action debut of the Grand Inquisitor?
I'm very, very excited. I think that this is going to be a great addition. I've always loved the character of the Jedi Temple Guard Fallen whole story that he had. I loved it. I'm super interested to see how Rupert Friend does this. He didn't do the voice for him.
No.
So the voice made him. And
it was Jason Isaacs that did the voice.
So it's going to be a little different to see how that happens. Maybe Jason Isaacs voices him, and
no, it's going to be his voice.
So it's going to be a little weird to see how that works out. But I'm very excited to see the live action debut. It's Sammy. You better not mention his look.
No, I'm going to be very disappointed if we don't see the lightsaber helicopters.
Oh, he's already said that
Seriously?
that it does that.
Oh, I'm sold. Yep, I'm
this
good.
show's going to be the best show ever.
I don't need to make any more comments. We're good.
Are you serious?
No. Okay. No, I am actually really excited to see this character. He was such an imposing force in Rebels, such an interesting villain. It'll be interesting to see some of the backstory of how... Or between him and Vader, because there was a little bit of that we saw in Rebels, and we get a bit of it.
But it was a more developed story.
And we get a bit of it in the comics.
Charles Soules.
Which are phenomenal. But to see that in between a little bit is going to be really interesting for sure.
Yeah. All right, here's a new character, Reva. Is it Reva or Reva?
I think it's Reva.
Reva?
I think it's Reva.
Like McIntyre?
Reva? No, it's Reva Savendar. I can't pronounce it. We'll find out on Friday. She's the third sister. She's played by Moses Ingram. She's a brand new character created just for the Obi Wan Kenobi show. Reva, the third sister, has come across as a brutal and focused Jedi hunter. Her first appearance, though, actually came in a 2021 issue of De Agostini's Star Wars Encyclopedia reference booklets, where she was referenced as the third sister in that. Moses Ingram appeared in a couple of kind of famous new things that have come out recently. She's in The Queen's Gambit. She's in the Ambulance movie.
Who is she in that?
I think she was the wife of...
Yep.
And she was in The Tragedy of Macbeth with Denzel Washington last year.
That looked weird. Anyway,
that's good.
Sam Ingram is accompanied McGregor, Ewan McGregor, and Hayden Christensen on this press tour that's been going on, and she's featured very heavily in the trailers and the TV spots. Do you think that she's kind of the primary antagonist of this show?
I think so. I think the Grand Inquisitor is going to be a part of it for sure, but just like the Emperor is the big baddie of the
all Star Wars,
right? He's got his minions. You got Vader and Tarkin and stuff who do the dirty work. I think that's kind of going to be the case here with Ingram's character. I think she's going to end up being killed off at the end, just because we haven't seen her in anything else, and that's generally what happens to the primary antagonists of movies. But I think it'll work. Also, just having a new character gives you more freedom to do with. It'll fit the story better. I think trying to shoehorn in the Grand Inquisitor might not fit as well as if you take a new character and you're able to write it to do what it needs to do for the story.
That's a good point.
They have a lot of freedom for that, because we know of 7 sisters, so they could just make a ton of them if they need to.
Right.
And the thing is I think she will get killed off at the end of this, judging by how Fallen Order takes place after this.
That's
and we
true.
even go to the Fortress Inquisitorius in that game, and we don't hear a mention of the third sister anywhere in that, but we see the second and fifth sister, so they can skip over a couple. So I think that I'm super excited to see this character, though. She seems very arrogant and very confident, but in the wrong ways, and I think that works perfect for Obi-Wan, because it's like a less trained version of Maul to him. So I think he can combat it very well, but I think that Vader is going to be the hardest challenge,
the biggest
right?
battle at the end.
Oh, for sure.
Obviously, everything points towards that moment in the final episode, which we all know is coming, and we all just can't wait for it to happen. All right. A couple others, obviously, we've seen these characters before, but Owen Lars, played by Joel Egerton, and Beru Whiteson Lars, plays by Bonnie Piesse. I think that's how you pronounce it, Piesse.
Close enough.
Yeah, anyway. Owen Lars, he's the stepbrother of Anakin Skywalker, his wife, Beru Whiteson Lars. They are actually taking care of Luke while his dad's gone to the dark side. The two met after a chain of events that began when Beru visited Watto's junk shop on Mos Espa. They inherited the young lad. That would be Luke.
Yes.
Yeah. After Obi Wan Kenobi asked them to care for him, Lars believed that Anakin's issues stemmed from his time as a Jedi, and he's forbade Kenobi from visiting him. In the trailer for Obi-Wan, Owen is seen frustrated with Kenobi for wanting to train Luke because, again, isn't that how we got here? Egerton and Piesse are reprising the roles that they played in episodes 2 and 3. All right, BB Nate, of course, one of the most discussed moments in the trailers is that brief interaction we saw between Kenobi and Owen Lars. Question: Do these two spend a lot of time together in this series, or is that just some misdirection?
I think we see a lot of Owen, and I do think we see a lot of Kenobi together. I'm not 100% sure, but we do see a lot of Owen in the trailers and in a few pictures and stuff and photos from the set. So I do think that we see a lot of Owen other than that one discussion, but I'm not sure we'll see a ton of them interacting other than what we see in the trailer and in that discussion. But I think that after the first episode, we drop Owen, and it's just going to be Kenobi from that point because they only have 6 episodes. And I think that having Owen and keeping Kenobi on Tatooine for too long is just going to hurt the series more than anything.
That's a good point. I do think we'll get a decent amount for sure. More than like we saw him in episodes 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But I think Nathan makes a good point. I think this is Kenobi after all. You need to keep it focused on Kenobi. I don't know about him just showing up in the first episode. I think he'll be sprinkled in throughout the series a bit, probably more towards the bookends of the series, beginning and end. But I do think we need to see the character because we need to know why Owen feels so strongly the way he does in episode 4. We've got to develop that.
Awesome. The fifth brother, played by Sung Kang. Yes, the other Han is showing up in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Sung Kang, best known for playing Han Lu in the Fast and the Furious movies, is playing another Inquisitor. Who diehard Star Wars fans like us will remember from the Rebels series, which again takes place after the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. A fallen Jedi who survived Order 66, which again declared Jedi to be traitors to the Galactic Republic. The fifth brother was pulled into the Inquisitorius, which are also called the Red Blades.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then they were charged with hunting down the other Jedi who survived Order 66. He is confident. He is brutal. He is unafraid of doing the dirtiest work and killing the young. Nice. Therefore, the fifth brother is a threat, especially to a young Luke Skywalker. Samuel the Head, here we go with another major character from Rebels. Do you think that fans who didn't watch the series are going to be at a disadvantage watching Kenobi?
I don't think so at all. Because this is the backstory of those characters. It'd be different if Rebels were taking place before and you need to understand some of the history behind these guys. But I think they can introduce them, say, hey, this is the Grand Inquisitor. He leads these guys. Hey, this is one of the members, basically. And that's it. I think all it'll do is it'll just make it interesting for people who do decide to go and watch Rebels afterward, and they'll be like, oh, that's these guys. You know, I don't think it's going to make it difficult for anybody.
Yeah, I think that it won't be difficult. It should be, because you should watch Rebels. But no, I think that it's just going to be pretty easy to follow. I don't think that you'll need to watch Rebels at all, because it's a very difficult show to sit down and watch all of. It's a great show, but there's a lot to it, and so and not everybody gets into animation, so that's understandable. And a lot of people want to watch Kenobi. People that just enjoyed the prequels, who just enjoyed Kenobi, will want to watch this series. So I think it's fine that, and like Sam said, it's set before Rebels, so it's not like they need to know anything during Rebels about the characters. So
awesome. And we got one more character, Kumail Nanjiani plays him. The role has yet to be announced. We do not know who he is playing. He's the comedian and actor that actually was in Eternals. He's been cast in a role, again, that we know very little for sure about at this time. He's only been shown very briefly in the trailer. The actor recently said to Rolling Stone in an interview that we haven't seen this exact thing in Star Wars yet. This is like a new version of a type of Star Wars character we've seen before. Interesting. One leak suggested that he was a contact of Kenobi and Leia Organa's, whose appearance is tied to Kenobi's intent to rescue a young Princess Leia. Having said that the leaker is not the most credible. So we aren't sure what to take from that. BB Nate, I think kind of what from that the most interesting thing is the idea that we haven't seen this exact thing in Star Wars before. A new take on that kind of character. What do you think that could be?
I don't know. That's really strange. It also could just be the actor hyping up his role because he knows it's too small to be important. Actors can do that.
He's got a point.
But no, I'm really interested in seeing how this character plays out. I really don't think he's going to be that big. I think that the fact that we haven't seen a lot of him in the trailer, the fact that we only saw him in like one little clip, a frame of the trailer on a planet that we know we see Kenobi on. It's the graffiti-esque planet, but I don't expect Kenobi to stay on that planet for more than one episode, and he's not going to lug around a person like this throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah, who knows though?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that could be referring to. It could just be his, he is a comedian, so he could be just trying to bring in that level of humor in a way that hasn't been done before. He's not going to be Jar Jar Binks, and he's not going to be the Han Solo type of humor. It'll probably be his own brand of comedy.
Okay, that could be.
And I think that's probably what he's referring to.
The comedic relief of this show.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we're famous for this, not really, but we're not famous for anything really. But anyway,
we did name a Porg.
We did name a Porg. We're going to go to a Porg meetup. I think they're having a bunch of fans that are just Porg fans.
Nice.
We're going to go to that.
Great.
Anyway, time to speculate irresponsibly.
Okay.
BB Nate, what's going to happen in this series?
We're going to see a young Kanan, which honestly actually could work.
Strangely enough, kind of a teenager Kanan. Oh, and let's see, how old would Kanan be? If he was at Order 66, he was probably about 10, 11 years old based on the book.
So
he'd be a young adult.
Yeah, he'd be 21 or so.
Yeah.
I think we could that would be crazy. But no, I do think that that's my speculation, my irresponsible speculation, seeing Kanan. But honestly, he was a scrapper. We know that from the Kanan comic book series. He really just decided to be a scrapper before he became a rebel. And judging by the planets that Kenobi goes to,
it could happen.
That would be crazy.
All right. Samuel the Hutt.
Crap. I didn't have anything prepared for this. What? Honestly, what if we saw a up and coming Boba Fett? I mean, we're on Tatooine.
It could work.
Jabba's there. Boba's got to find work somewhere. We know he's been working for Jabba for a while by the time you get to A New Hope. So yeah, I'd want to see an up and coming Boba Fett, one who's maybe tasked with hunting down Kenobi, but he's still a little green behind the gills. So Kenobi kind of like bests him, but doesn't kill him.
It would cause the internet and all of Star Wars fandom to completely melt down, but if like the stuff that we're going to talk about in your segment, Nate, about Kathleen Kennedy, about Alden Ehrenreich and stuff like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. If that's a misdirection to some extent, like she's saying all those things and she actually believes those and those are true, but she's saying some of that to completely obscure the possibility, make people think there's no shot that we get a Han Solo and a Chewbacca moment at some point in this, I would love it. So I'm going to go ahead and speculate irresponsibly that we do get a moment where we have Han and Chewie and the Millennium Falcon and Jabba cool. and Boba all together at some point.
There was one problem with this segment though. All of these have potential of happening in this series.
That's true. Not very irresponsible.
No, we're not doing it irresponsible. It's a lot different than like Jedi Porg that come and save the day, like in the first time we did
I'm
that.
Still a fan of that.
We're not sure if there's going to be a massive opportunity to watch Obi Wan Kenobi with thousands of Star Wars fans this Friday in Anaheim, but rest assured, we're watching this thing on Friday. Definitely with that. All right. This is where you say good segment.
Good segment, Dad. You
Thanks,
did
guys.
great.
Fantastic.
You guys are
segment.
awesome.
Best
Thanks
one of the podcast.
Thanks. You know my love language is affirmation. So
It went a
Donuts.
little long, but it's still great.
thanks a lot. All right. Inside the Magic might have just won the award for our least favorite article in the history of their covering of Marvel. That's up next on Bad News.
This is not going to go the way you think.
All right, gentlemen, let's talk about Newsly for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, all right.
Let's do it.
All right, so if you're listening and you don't know what Newsly is, I'll explain. It's an all-in-one audio super app for both iOS and Android. And what it does is it picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment, and then it reads them to you in a natural human voice. And so what that means is that really for the first time in the history of the internet, the entire web becomes listenable all in one place.
Yeah, I mean, you're able to browse articles from topics you choose and then start playing. So you can stop scrolling and start listening. You can do other things throughout your day. And you can also follow any topic as specific as you'd like, from sports to science to even Bitcoin or even the best stuff like Star Wars, Marvel, DC whatever.
Especially.
DC. Star Wars.
Lord of the Rings. But it'll find you the latest articles on those topics and read them to you out loud.
And they have great podcasts on there.
They
as
have
well.
amazing podcasts on there.
Explore the trending podcasts from over 80 countries, and Tatooine Suns is now on there too. So
I think they're pretty cool.
Have digital radio.
Yeah, Tatooine Suns is one of the featured podcasts on Newsly. And
It's definitely worth listening to.
Which is another reason why it has become my default podcast app. You can try it out too, though. We want you to check it out. So download and use Newsly for free now from www.newsly.me, or just go to the link in the description and use the promo code. It's Tatooine Suns, but it's spelled different. So it's TAT001NES0NS.
Just look in the show notes.
Just look in the show notes and copy and paste it. Then go to newsly.me and use it, because all of that effort will mean you will get 1 month free premium subscription. And then when you do that, let us know and tell us what you think.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
All right. It's not for the first time in the history of the show, the bad news segment is also going to be the dad moment. So.
Hey.
That's not necessarily a very good sign.
I am your father.
Fans declare full Marvel boycott over series following Sam Wilson's replacement. So you guys don't get to do bad news this week. This is just me.
Okay.
Yeah. There is so much wrong with this headline and the entire article from Inside the Magic that I've decided to devote the entire bad news segment to it this week. First, the headline is classic clickbait misdirection. It implies so much that isn't true. Sam Wilson hasn't been replaced as Captain America or the Falcon. There isn't any full Marvel boycott going on.
Feels like there's always a Marvel boycott.
Yeah. The article is about a completely unsubstantiated rumor of a forthcoming Captain Carter series on Disney Plus following her brief appearance and untimely demise in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Normally we'd debunk the headline and move on to another terrible headline after that. But as I took a deeper look at the article itself, I was honestly a little disgusted by the article. It continues to go on and take advantage of our readers' tendency to just scan articles, kind of like headlines, and then doubles and triples down on the insane toxic statements that exist for no other reason than to inflame negative fan sentiments that are fringe, if they even exist at all, with that. So first, it insinuates that Steve Rogers' reunion with Peggy Carter at the end of the Avengers Endgame movie was divisive.
That's the first that I've heard.
Yeah. As someone who has been fully immersed in the nerd culture on social media since 2017, I can tell you that this ending wasn't divisive in the least. While some, including us, have questioned how it affects the MCU timeline, the vast majority of fans haven't questioned the reunion and definitely don't care about it. Throughout the article, the author uses the phrase "some fans" to cover her tale. Of course, there are always some fans that you can point to regarding anything you want to write an article about. But to do this and then make this absurd claim in a headline and throughout an article that some fans are then reflective of a large segment of fandom is ridiculous. But the article gets even worse. Next, the article goes on to ask 3 highly provocative and bold questions. First, why do fans hate Peggy Carter?
Never heard that one before.
Second, why do fans hate Captain Carter?
That's a new one.
And third, why do fans hate Haley Atwell?
Yeah, not sure where these are coming from.
The author pulls tweets from 3 or 4 fans that call into question certain choices in Peggy Carter's character arc in the MCU to claim that, in general, fans hate this character.
I didn't know I hated this character.
Then it twists the quote, or a quote that Haley Atwell made in 2016. That, by the way, is 6 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Long before any Captain Carter or anything.
Right. To
happened.
create controversy that just doesn't exist in order to make an argument that is absolutely absurd. The author then gives credence to a fan rumor that we've never even heard of, that Haley Atwell has some type of real world superpower that has given her the ability to force Kevin Feige, the Russo brothers, and Marvel Studios to write Sharon Carter out of Steve Rogers' stories so Peggy Carter can be his only love interest.
Huh?
She did. She made them do this. She forced them to do this. Even the author of this article realizes that this is insanity, because then she goes on to remind her readers that this is even more power than the studio has had over the controversial Letitia Wright and Evangeline Lilly, who the MCU actresses, who have both made production of their next MCU films challenging because of their anti-vax positions.
What is this?
So
what is happening?
She can force Kevin Feige to completely change the story in the MCU,
so she can be the love interest.
So she can be the love interest. This article is a masterclass in everything that is wrong with these types of websites. The headline creates controversy where there is none. The article goes on to stir up fan toxicity where there is no validity to the story. And then when we, when we started the segment, some questioned. Well, let me explain it this way. When we started doing bad news, some people messaged us and we had some questions from people asking us why we were doing this segment, because they wondered if it was a little bit too maybe negative for our fan base. That's because fair. We've been pretty positive on this show. We try to be. But as a dad, I believe it's more important than ever that we teach our children the ability to read something purporting to be news from a critical perspective. If you're listening to this podcast and you have kids in your lives that you love, take some time to teach them how to spot this garbage. While articles like this about the MCU or about Star Wars have little real world implications, these pop culture articles are great tools for teaching your kids how to spot this same type of pseudo journalism in the more important issues of our day. And therefore, I'm going to award this article a resounding clickbait level 100.
Yeah, this was atrocious. I remember when you sent this in the group chat, I actually took time to quickly skim through it, and I was shocked and disgusted at the same time, because I had no idea that anybody could ever think any of that for this character.
Nobody does.
Right.
I mean, it's like a handful of people that tweeted about it, and she created a whole article about it. So
garbage.
All right, it's up to you now, Sam. Take us back into the light side.
All right. Well, with Celebration just 2 days away, the hype is definitely real. We're going to be talking about some of the biggest panels of the weekend and giving our predictions of what we might see.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
You're coming to is as the footsteps of
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
Jabba costume.
I don't know. I have space in the suitcase.
I think we got to make it happen,
We have to, though.
It's tradition at this point.
All right, we'll make it happen. If you guys do that, I'll bring Cobb Vanth. I wasn't sure if I was going
Saturday
to.
I was thinking
always do it on.
I was thinking about bringing my TK421 costume. It's just the only issue of my helmet, but I might make it my carry-on or something.
All right. Well,
All right.
your
segment. Well, the first big panel of the weekend is the Lucasfilm Showcase. And its description on the website is, Star Wars Celebration returns, launching with a must-see showcase that will kick the weekend's festivities into hyperdrive. Lucasfilm's current crop of live-action filmmakers will be joined by special guests to discuss the many Star Wars adventures coming soon, including Obi Wan Kenobi, Andor, and The Mandalorian. So we know they're going to be talking about stuff that we already know about, but what kind of announcements do you think that they'll make at this panel, Nate?
I think we definitely get a lot more about Ahsoka, at least learning a lot of who the characters are going to be, who some of the actors and actresses that
where Thrawn and Ezra are.
Maybe if they make some announcements of who those actors are.
If Lars Mikkelsen walks up on stage and just like announces
and Mina Massoud.
And Mina Massoud walks up, that
would be so cool.
I could die a happy man at the first day of Star Wars Celebration.
Right there.
But I think we see a lot of that. I think we understand this is going to be where we go from here for the future of the film side of Star Wars. We've been dealing a lot with TV shows for the past 2 and 3 years, and I think that we learn what the next movie is going to be, which is probably going to be Taika Waititi's movie. So we're going to
it's been confirmed it's Taika
So we're going to
Waititi's
get
movie.
either a title for that or maybe a first look at
they haven't started filming anything yet.
Photos maybe of concept art and the logo and all that stuff. It's what I'm assuming to think. And maybe Taika Waititi shows up. That'd be pretty cool. And that would be a lot of fun because he's a really fun guy to have at this kind of a thing. And so, yeah, I think we learn a ton about that in Ahsoka. That's my two
that's a good point.
I'm going to go completely to a different galaxy on this one because I think that the reason they're calling this the Lucasfilm showcase.
We don't get Indiana Jones.
I do.
Dad.
I think we get Harrison Ford's going to show up. It's perfect. It's the 45th anniversary of Star Wars. He didn't get to come for anything Empire Strikes Back because that was what was supposed to be when they canceled Celebration. He gets to come for this. They get to make it a Star Wars connection, and then they announce they roll the trailer for Indiana Jones 5. It's a Lucasfilm panel, and that makes me think that that's what they're doing.
But then if you look and read and really dive into this description, it's Lucasfilm's current crop of live-action filmmakers will be joined by special guests to discuss the many Star Wars adventures.
Yeah, I still think that
we already know that Indiana Jones is
set in the
Star Wars universe because there's hieroglyphs that have R2 and C-3PO.
They make that canon in this because they did make that canon at Galaxy's Edge, kind of ish.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're overthinking it. I do think that that's a possibility.
I think that would be fun.
Get that. You think you got any surprises that you think are coming?
I don't know about any surprises that y'all haven't touched on, but I think Nathan makes a really good point. Everything in the news lately has bin TV shows. They need to get back to some of the movies. Not that I don't like the TV shows, and I'm super excited for them, but there are all these movies that we know like nothing about. It's kind of like, you know, that meme of the mom in the pool with like the two little girls, and she's like holding up the one while the other kid's like drowning.
Right.
Yeah, they're holding up the TV while the movies are like drowning off to the side. So they need to kind of bring some light.
And I'm 100% sure we're getting a trailer for Andor. Wouldn't be like that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Okay.
The next big panel is Light and Magic. Be among the first in the world to get a sneak peek at the recently announced Disney Plus documentary series Light and Magic. Join us for an illuminating discussion panel featuring Lawrence Kasdan and Ron Howard, joined by VFX titans Dennis Muren, Phil Tippett, Joe Johnston, and Rose Dunegan,
yeah,
and Linwin Brennan. Yeah, I didn't read these beforehand, as well as the Lucas.
I think they are the Lucasfilm.
Linwin
Brennan is the Lucasfilm executive vice president
and general manager. Yeah, so. One interesting thing I noticed when I was looking at these names, the ones I at least recognized and could read. What do you think about having a panel with Lawrence Kasdan, the writer of Solo, and Ron Howard, the director of Solo, Kameen? Dad?
I wonder if this can't create the beginning of a conversation about a Make Solo 2. And I know that when we're going to talk in your segment, BB Nate, that there's, we've already even talked about it, that there's some
controversy around
the Make Solo 2 Happen movement got punched in the face last week by the Vanity Fair article. And we feel bad for everybody because we're part of that. We'd love to see that happen too. But, maybe this gives an opportunity for them to have those conversations because you do have two people that really do love this storyline and I think want to see it continue with this. So it'll be a lot of fun.
I think that if we do see anything happen with this coincidence of a group or a pairing, I think it would be having to do with Lando. more than anything.
Oh, that'd be true.
That's true.
We don't have anything for Lando. It was announced, but we don't have anything. We know it's going to be set during Donald Glover's version
if
of
they even
Lando.
do it now, though.
It's been confirmed, and it hasn't been shelved yet. They would have to announce that. And so it wouldn't surprise me if they're like, and with the new series of Lando, we will be using the volume and the new technology made by ILM in this story
That's
that you'll
true.
learn
That's a
more
good
about
point.
in Light and Magic at the end of the panel. That would work perfectly as a final announcement for the big panel on... This is Friday's panel, right? Yeah, this is Friday's panel. So the big panel on Friday has the announcement that first image of Lando, and it'll be using the volume, and you can see some more behind the scenes stuff.
That is
when you watch Light and
interesting idea.
Magic. So that's what I think.
That's cool.
And then I think this is Saturday's big panel.
It is, yeah.
Mando Plus, a conversation with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni in their first appearance at Star Wars Celebration since the premiere of The Mandalorian. Joined Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni with special guests for a look back and look ahead at what's to come. So do you guys think we get a trailer for the new season?
Oh, for sure. Oh, 100%.
Really? Yep.
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I just wonder if we don't get the Ahsoka stuff in this.
I think that it's possible. Maybe we get a little bit into the Lucasfilm thing, but then an announcement that during the Mando Plus there'll be more. Maybe that's a little tease.
Yeah.
Because this is Dave Filoni.
This is Dave. This is a Dave panel,
and it's not The Mandalorian. It's Mando Plus.
Exactly. So I do think that we definitely get a trailer, and I do think that it has to do a little bit with Ahsoka. I think we see some Ahsoka. Maybe we get an announcement for some more Boba Fett stuff. Maybe a Book of Boba Fett season 2, if that's possible. If they want to go that way,
Volume 2.
Volume 2. Maybe we get an announcement of a whole new series set in the Mandoverse, following a different character. Maybe we get a Grief Karga series. I wouldn't mind that. That'd be actually really cool.
Kind of cool.
Dealing with the bounty hunters and that whole guild before.
They announce Cara Dune's coming back.
That's not happening.
That wouldn't happen yet. That would be a terrible choice on Lucasfilm's part. But no, I think we get a big announcements on what we can expect in the Mandoverse, because all we have right now is the fact that we have Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett's over, and Ahsoka. So we only have 2 new series coming up,
that we know
a season and then a new series. So I think we have to expand this a little more, because they're wanting this to be a big story. So we have to figure out where we're going with this.
The one big piece of the big announcements from a couple of years ago from the Disney Investors Day that has been shelved is this Rangers of the New Republic. And if they can find a way to retool those storylines with a different set of characters, because obviously that was going to be a Cara Dune centric show, we could see something cool happen where they make some announcements like that and keep things moving forward with it. So hopefully we'll get to see that. And anytime you get Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni up on stage talking together, it's a lot of fun. That was so much fun in 2019 in Chicago.
Before we had gotten any Mandalorian.
That's where we got some of our first images.
Let's hope they don't have any technical difficulties this time.
It's crazy to think that we've gone from having no Mandalorian to 2 seasons of it and a spin-off show. Yeah,
absolutely.
And then you got Sunday's big panel, Star Wars, The Bad Batch Season 2. Strap in, kid. You're not going to want to miss this view. Join host David Collins as he invites Star Wars, The Bad Batch executive producer and supervising director Brad Rao. Executive producer and head writer Jen Corbett. Story editor Matt McNevitz.
Yeah, that's a word.
Yeah, close enough. And actors Bradley D. Baker.
What? You can't even read. What was that?
Bradley.
It's D.
D. Bradley Baker.
You good there, my guy?
No, I've been staring at spreadsheets all day. All right, give me
his eyes crossed while you read that. That's awesome.
Actors D. Bradley Baker
and D. Bradley Baker and D. Bradley Baker.
Yeah, 90% of the cast right there.
And D. Bradley Baker.
And then Michelle Ang Omega.
Yeah, that's Omega.
To discuss highlights from the first season of the acclaimed series, as well as some of the exciting hints of what's to come in season 2.
Yeah.
Now, the Sunday animation panel almost always includes the first episode of the next season. Do you think we get that for Bad Batch season 2?
I do.
Yeah, I think we will. We didn't get that for Clone Wars season 7, but that's just because that was a huge deal. They wanted to keep that because they didn't have it a lot. They just announced that a couple months before Celebration, so I don't
think it was ready to go.
It wasn't. They showed some concept art. They showed the first trailer. They showed the big scene from the first episode of the Bad Batch fight scene, even with the concept art in it. But it was all put together. So I do think we get a first episode. I think we get at least get the trailer and some news as to what the motivation, and hopefully they have some motivation this season for what's going to happen, how this fits into this timeline, how it fits into this greater story, what it'll mean.
Yeah,
because we don't
they
really
need
have
to tie it in.
Why? It's my question with Book of Boba Fett, which did get answered. Why did this show need to get made? And so I hope we get that answer in this panel, and I'm sure we will, because it'll be pretty fun to see.
I would love to see if we could start seeing some of the Bad Batch characters actually make it into live action, maybe in just like saying Kenobi or something,
cool.
or Andor.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it
like
would really work in Andor, judging by how it would all fit together.
That would be a lot of fun.
That'd be really neat.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then a couple of other noteworthy panels that we might try and stop by.
Definitely.
Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary. The 20th anniversary of Phantom Menace was it 20th?
Yep.
Yeah. Was super fun to go to. The praise for Ahmed Best was so heartwarming. So I think we're definitely going to try and make it to,
Are you all a little nervous that they haven't announced Hayden as an official guest at Celebration?
Well, he's an official guest.
He isn't. Ewan is.
Wait, they haven't announced him as a guest yet, have they?
I think it'll be a surprise. I think
I think so.
With Kenobi coming out and it being Attack the Clones 20th anniversary,
you have to have it.
What would be really cool is if you get
Natalie Portman,
and Natalie,
at the
Attack of the Clones.
Cool.
That may be one of those panels that you like. You make the decision to get to that panel. You get there
early,
as early as you can, and get into that one.
Yeah.
That one's like on the list.
Yeah, that's on the list.
They could treat it like Ian McDiarmid with The Rise of Skywalker. Nobody knew he was coming to the con, and then he just showed up and said, roll it again, and we all lost our freaking minds, you know? So they could totally do that.
Yeah.
And then a panel called Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one.
Explain a little bit about that.
So it was a rumored series that was leaked a few months ago, but it is confirmed from this that there will be
an animated series,
anthology short series by Dave Filoni being released, telling just some short stories of Tales of the Jedi.
That's cool.
Which was a Legend series, but it won't be following that. It'll be just telling some of the, probably from the High Republic era, maybe from some of the after the High Republic, before the fall of the Order in episode 3. So
And maybe even some Rey rebuilding it.
Maybe
I
wouldn't
would
surprise me if we saw that too.
Do you think in any of these panels we get some sort of announcement for Star Wars Visions Season 2?
They're doing a special panel on Sunday afternoon. Unfortunately, we can't stick around because you guys got to get to the airport to get back to your stuff. But it's in the like 2:00 on Sunday afternoon where they talk about Star Wars Visions from the first things. I think we probably get the announcement.
That would be so
I'll definitely be
I
trying to
hope
watch
we get
that
a season
panel.
2.
Yeah,
and I hope they continue the nine Jedi or whatever.
Yeah,
I hope they just continue every story. Every story lends itself to another part in that. So just have another episode
Except
dedicated
for,
to each.
I don't remember which one it was called.
What?
The one that was basically Hidden Fortress. You know what I'm talking about? With
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know what
where
you're
he
talking
died.
about. No, that could still work.
No, it continues on.
That can continue.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's cool. All right.
Yeah. Well, as you're listening to this episode, we're either getting ready to leave or already on our way to Star Wars Celebration this weekend. I know. I'm like excited and freaked out at the same time, but I mean, I really don't think we could get any more excited. And hey, we might even see you there. So
Great segment.
Yeah, if you're there, say hi to us.
Thanks,
Grab
Nate.
us. We're going to be the crazy guys. Okay.
Are you
good
the
job.
pork guy?
Good job, BB or Samuel the Hutt.
Thank you.
Yeah, but
Appreciate it.
I called
It's
you
close
BB Nate.
enough. It's all right.
I've been doing that since the beginning of the show, so getting you guys' names wrong. He's my favorite. Though. BB Nate. That's why I called him that. All right. 2 new movies this weekend. One looks amazing. The other not so much.
All right,
that's up next.
How about does it?
That's next on Movie Moments.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
All right. We're super excited for this one. This is the amazing movie that we're talking about.
That's not.
Bob's Burgers.
This isn't it.
It's about the story begins when a ruptured water main creates an enormous sinkhole right in front of Bob's Burgers, blocking the entrance indefinitely and ruining the Belcher's plan for a successful summer. While Bob and Linda struggle to keep the business afloat, funny sinkhole, the kids try to solve a mystery that could save their family's restaurant. As the dangers mount, these underdogs help each other find find hope, and fight to get back behind the counter where they belong. The director is Lauren Bouchard. The cast is H. John Benjamin, Kristen Shaw, and Dan Mintz. The studio is 20th Century Studios, so this is technically a Disney movie. It is rated PG-13
They're
for
not gonna
rude,
claim
suggestive material and language going, no, we're not going to this. But this next one,
we've seen the trailers, we don't even care.
We're definitely going to this next one.
Oh, this one we're going to this one?
100%.
Someday.
Top Gun Maverick. After more than 30 years of service as one of the Navy's top aviators, Pete Maverick Mitchell is where he belongs, pushing the envelope as a courageous test pilot and dodging the advancement in rank that would ground him. When he finds himself training a detachment of Top Gun graduates for a specialized mission, the likes of which no living pilot has ever seen. They really like that line.
It's cool.
Maverick encounters Lieutenant Bradley Bradshaw, call sign Rooster, the son of Maverick's late friend and radar intercept officer, Lieutenant Nick Bradshaw, a.k.a. Goose. Facing an uncertain future and confronting the ghosts of his past, Maverick is drawn into a confrontation with his own deepest fears, culminating in a mission that demands the ultimate sacrifice from those who will be chosen to fly it. Chosen. Yeah. The director is Joseph Kosinski, and the cast is, of course, Tom Cruise, Jennifer Connelly, and Miles Teller. The studio is Paramount, and it is rated PG-13 for sequences of intense action and some strong language. We're definitely going to this movie.
I wish we could go this weekend, but
I don't.
We're busy.
We're a little bit busy.
And then you guys are going to go on really some youth choir tour from church.
Maybe we can find some, we'll stay out past curfew and, just take Pastor Josh with us to go see it.
Because
he's a huge
talk him into taking the whole church.
Right, we'll just take the whole church. But for trailers,
48 tickets.
He'll find some biblical thing behind it.
There's always something you can find for that.
Oh, if he needs any help, let me know.
Right. For trailers this week, we got a surprise one today, but a welcome one to be sure. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. This trailer looked crazy.
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it.
It was absolutely fantastic. We get Peggy Carter in it. She's the new.
Her name is Haley Atwell, and the world hates her.
Yes.
I'm not going to watch this movie now.
I guess she's the new, the new Hunt girl. It feels like every movie. Has a new
there's
girl,
like a Bond girl for Mission Impossible.
But apparently, Ethan Hunt and whoever the chick's name is. I don't remember, the one that's been in the past 3 movies.
Okay. I know who
are
you're talking
actually a thing now, finally. So at least we find that out in this trailer.
Well, that's cool.
So I'm really excited to see this movie. It looks really good.
It looks amazing.
Tom Cruise decides to go above and beyond with the stunts again. Y'all will see that.
This is the one that's supposed to go in space.
No.
Okay.
Dang, I was literally about to say, I hope I see him parachute from space.
And for another trailer, not quite a movie, but a big deal for this family, at least Sammy and I. Baymax. I'm not using the exclamation point. I'm not going to be yelling it. But the show Baymax got a trailer this week. It is the official sequel series to Big Hero 6, not the one that they did on Disney XD that was not fantastic. What
did this look like? Did you watch it?
What?
The trailer.
The trailer looked exactly like the show.
Really? Does it look good?
It was the exact same animation, same voice actors and everything, and it just looks like the movie turned into a show format. And it looks like he might be trying to help a patient an episode, just doing Baymax things, and it looks like a lot of fun. I'm really excited for it. For box office results, Doctor Strange 2, 31 million domestic. That's a big drop off.
Well, it's 2 weeks.
I know, but the first weekend had a 67% drop off,
and this is a 50%.
That's bad. That's really bad. Yeah. It has 800 million worldwide, which is very strong.
That's pretty good.
Downton Abbey, A New Era, debuts with 16 million domestic. Yikes.
16, not 60.
Not 16. No.
That's 16, not 60.
With a very...
But that's not the kind of movie you expect to do big.
Yeah,
big
51 million worldwide. Not great, but it was...
It was Downton Abbey.
The box office matches my thoughts with the movie.
Right.
The third place is The Bad Guys, still holding strong for an animated movie with 6 million domestic and 182 million worldwide.
Awesome.
Yes, and it is up to me again for the second.
BB Nate, you did so good. Let's keep going.
I know, let's keep going. Right. The future of Star Wars is kind of up in the air right now, but a recent interview with Kathleen Kennedy let us peek behind the curtain to get a glimpse at what to expect. So let's talk about that.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use? There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
That man has no limits.
Yeah, so explain your limits.
She didn't tell who was for Baby Yoda and who was against Baby Yoda, but I got the feeling that it was John that was for, and Dave was very cautious about it. She said in the interview it wasn't that somebody was against it, just very cautious about it. Because
about the name or the character?
The character in and of itself.
Oh, okay.
If it was because the Mandalorian was always about the Mandalorian and the child, but the child was developed later on. They went through so many different versions of who this character was going to actually be. So that was I
got the feeling from reading the article that Dave was the one that was really trying to protect Yoda because of the way George Lucas wanted to keep mystery around the species and everything else.
Yoda in Rebels and in Clone Wars, and he really respected that character with what he did. Yeah. So it would have been difficult. But let's get into about 3 of the points that I think that are worth mentioning in this article. Okay. Basically talking about the future of Star Wars. First one is a lot of little hints are in this whole article, like Kathleen talking about directors making long-term commitments, at least people in the TV side, and she really wants one for the film side, and she says she's pretty close to a couple directors making that commitment, but has a bit of problems trying to get their schedules to match out for a 4 to 5 year commitment. Seems a little weird. Any hopes or ideas on who those could be?
I mean, I think it's all on our mind, but Rian Johnson. I mean,
well, she talks about Ryan in this article.
She does. What she mentions about Ryan is the fact that Anthony Breznican asked her what's going on with Rian Johnson's trilogy.
I'm so excited he did that.
Thank you for asking that question. All of us were worrying about that. But she said that he's just so insanely busy with Knives Out and the other Netflix movies that he's making that they can't find a time. But he is still coming in for meetings and where the future of Star Wars is going to go. And the top of the top secret meetings for Lucasfilm, he's still included in and is still giving feedback in. So
God, I'm so excited to hear that.
I'm going to say this.
For so many reasons.
I am almost 100% sure that Rian Johnson is the director that she thinks she's pretty close to getting to make that long-term commitment. Because when he's done with Knives Out and the other Netflix movies, he has nothing lined up. I don't think he has a Knives Out 3 lined up, depending on how Knives Out 2 works out. But I'm sure that it'll do great, but he probably wants to take a bit of a break after that. So I'm sure we can see Ryan leading the future of Star Wars film for 4 to 5 years. Probably.
I would be so excited to see that happen. And I think that I'm wondering if they can't make some kind of announcement, because this interview could have happened a month ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or 2 months ago.
Right.
Because they do these interviews.
Yeah. This was an interview from March.
Okay, so that's 2 months ago.
Yeah.
What if they've gotten to the point where it's kind of like, all right, we've got it worked out, make that kind of an announcement at the Lucasfilm panel.
And Anthony Breznican did ask, what is the future of the film of Star Wars right now? And she's like, well, we'll make those announcements in a couple months.
Okay. Yeah.
And so a couple months from March
is now.
Strangely now.
I really hope we get some Ryan.
I think
anybody else that could be that could be one of those directors.
Any of those directors that come to mind right now.
What if John or Dave?
They're TV.
Yeah, I mean, we got Taika Waititi.
That's true.
Who's doing his, and he could do an amazing commitment to this. But he's also working really hard with Marvel right now.
Yeah.
And Thor: Love and Thunder, and who knows what else he'll do after that. And then you could say Patty Jenkins. But they haven't even started.
No, I don't think they're ready for that yet.
She said that they haven't started production. They're still writing the script for that right now, and then they're going to see when they want to do that. So it's not Patty Jenkins. There's no other directors I can think of right now that have a lined up Star Wars project besides Kevin Feige and
he's not going to be that.
But he's not going to be that for that because he has Marvel to worry about, and that is just so consistent that he can't worry about monitoring Star Wars and Marvel.
I'll tell you this right now. If they do go down that path with Ryan, that is one of the ballsiest moves that Kathleen Kennedy has ever made in her career. That would be the gutsiest move ever.
So gutsy. Very, very much so.
I hope she does.
But
and of course, I mean, we sit here and we see anything Rian Johnson as being like gold.
Yeah.
We know that. And we've said it on the show before. It's not just because of Turbis the Porg.
No.
We loved this movie before that. And you're right, Sam, when you said for different reasons.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is we just really want to see the complete fan meltdown.
Oh, yes.
But I also want to see a possible fan praise for it, too.
Well, that's what's been going on. You've got Reddit, having this thread and other news sources talking about the fact that, wait a second, fans are starting to say that The Last Jedi is actually a really good movie. This kind of thing is going out there now. Maybe. Let's hope so. May the Force be with us. Okay.
But the next thing was Kathleen talking about Solo being a learning experience for Lucasfilm. She said that they learn from their mistakes and won't be doing that again. The problem was recasting a classic character and trying something new. It didn't work out, apparently, in her opinion, or at least that's what she said. So what do y'all think that means? Again, we talked about this Lando series. That's coming up, and that is a recast of a classic character of Billy D. Williams' Lando. So does that mean that the Lando series is shelved, or do you think that this is just her saying that they won't try to recast other characters again, but keep the ones that they already recast?
I don't know.
I know we kind of talked about this on that earlier segment, but I'm curious to see what you think.
This is a very strong comment. I don't think there's really a lot of gray area in there. I think she means it. They're not going to do it again, which I think is silly because I think both Donald Glover and Alden Ehrenreich did phenomenal with their portrayal of Lando and Han, and I would absolutely love to see them come back. And I think you can recast existing characters and without being issue. So it's frustrating, but I think it is what it is. And at least at this time, I really don't think we're going to see any recast of classic characters, which is disappointing, but that's just the decision they made.
The only thing that I think gives her the slightest wiggle room is when she uses the phrase legacy characters. And if she determines that Donald Glover's Lando is not the same, Billy, that Lando Calrissian isn't a legacy character. If she determines characters like Luke, Han, and Leia are legacy characters, but Lando's just not, then she can get away with the Donald Glover thing.
Yeah,
that's
she
true.
could. And I mean, she did mention how she was like, and I think, and I know this because I've been on the set of Indiana Jones 5 a lot, and every time I'm there, she's like, this is just Indiana Jones, and I can't cast somebody else for it.
But she also talks about the fact that she's more connected emotionally to the story of
She's
Indiana
like, and
Jones.
maybe that's just why, because I'm more connected. So it's, again, all up in the air, and she was insanely vague in this whole article. But another big topic, probably the main point of the article, was Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. But Jon Favreau was what she talked about a lot. And Jon Favreau is, what she said, probably the closest thing in Star Wars we'll get to Kevin Feige, at least right now. And that's what I got from this article. Jon was always all in on Star Wars since before he was even approached to work on it. He actually already had an idea for a story in the Star Wars universe that may or may not be The Mandalorian. But when Kathleen approached him, he's like, I already have an idea. And she didn't even know that. He was already planning something for Star Wars, and it just happened to work out.
That's crazy.
And Jon and Dave have both made a commitment to Star Wars. So do y'all think that what they're doing is going to work for this new era of Star Wars? Their whole deal with the TV side of Star Wars being the main focus right now?
Yeah, I think right now it's working really, really well. They're about the best creative team I think you could have working with Star Wars right now. You've got Dave, who is unbelievably knowledgeable in Star Wars lore and has a love for it. And then you've got Jon, who has the experience behind filmmaking and making successful franchises and things like that. And even the movies he directed were huge hits. So I think that's just about as powerhouse of a team as you can get. And I think that they're going to let them have their creative way for as long as they can.
I think it's interesting to see the way that this has come to play as a result of the Disney era kind of having to take that break after the sequel trilogy, the Skywalker saga, ended. Because what's ended up happening, and part of this is COVID, I think, as well, but they've got these TV series, which, Jon and Dave are sort of the guiding force behind. And those tend to be the longer, they're obviously long form, they're multiple series, that kind of thing, long for storylines. what ends up happening with that is those can be the ones that sort of create the stories going forward. And if they do it right, they've taken this step back from film. If they want to make films, then the films have to fit within the stories of the TV series versus the TV series, which is what has happened up to this point. The TV series having to fit in the story of the movies.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think that that's important because one of the things that's been rightfully so, one of the criticisms of the sequel trilogy was just this disjointed story with it. And if now that they've taken this step back, you've got John and Dave telling this bigger story that's going to go all the way into the Acolyte, which is 100 years before the Phantom Menace. They announced all the way into what we're at with the the stuff that we're in right. Well, even I don't think that that's going to be necessarily part of it, but you've got this whole storyline going on here. They can then say, all right, if you want to make a movie, here's your sandbox to play in, but these are your rules, and they have to conform that story around what's going on in the greater storyline now. And Jon Favreau's the kind of he's got the chops, he's got the reputation, he's got the credibility that he can sit down with them and say he could sit down with. I mean, let's just say J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson or Colin Trevorrow when he was and be like, no, you can't tell that. You can't tell the story that way because this, and this, and he has the right to say it.
Yep.
And so I think that that's what they need to be able to do.
Yeah, I agree. But in just a couple days, we will be actually finding out the official future of Star Wars, the Star Wars Celebration, and I cannot wait to see what is going to be revealed.
Yeah,
for the future.
Good segment. Any segment where we fantasize about the future of Star Wars, including Rian Johnson being in charge, is a good segment.
Yes, it is.
Good job, BB Nate. Thank you. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Yeah, first look at She-Hulk in new trailer. Not coming out of the gate strong.
Need to work on some CGI before they release the series.
But they can fix that. I mean, they redid the entire look
like we do every episode of this show. Fix it in post.
Exactly.
Yep, fix it in post. So there's hope. But
and speaking of attorneys, Daredevil season 4 is officially coming to Disney Plus.
That's very exciting.
Kind of season 4. They said it's a continuation, but it's kind of a reboot. They don't know what they're doing really, but they're going to be making more with Daredevil. Charlie Cox Daredevil, to be specific.
That's awesome.
I am so excited. And Sammy and I still have to finish season 3.
Yeah. And on a sad note, Colin Cantwell, the concept artist who designed the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter and the Death Star, so he's pretty iconic to Star Wars. He died just a couple of days ago at age 90. So may the Force be with him and his family. All right. That's going to do it for this episode.
Yeah.
Next time you guys hear from us, we'll be at Celebration. We'll be recording on location. Star Wars Celebration. With that, make sure you big thanks to Newsly. Make sure you guys check them out. Link is in the notes down below, so you can check that out. Make sure if you are at Celebration on Wednesday, make sure you stop by Biggs Fullerton for Sam's 21st birthday. Not really. It's the big, massive Boon to Eve Cantina with all of those amazing people and fans and you. And so we can't wait to do it. And that'll pretty much
sing some karaoke?
I don't know yet. Getting nervous now. Thanks for listening to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast.
Yes, if you had a good time listening, it would be awesome if you could share this with your friends.
Yeah, and of course, remember the show's only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world. So be sure to like us on Facebook and join our Facebook discussion group. Got lots of fun little memes and articles and stuff being shared there. And follow us on Twitter to get in on all of the action. You can keep up to date with everything we've got going on over there at TatooineSons.com.
That's right. And don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app. If you don't have one of those, check out Newsly so you don't miss our next news episode. Our next news episode? I just said news episode. That doesn't make any sense. Our newest episode. That's what I meant. And please give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever podcast app you prefer.
Yes.
All right, that'll do it. Anything else you guys want to say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Join, please.
Yep, yep.